Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Amusing Panda live stream, your source for all things, your amusing source for all things War Machine. This week, we are picking up with more Dragon's Fury from back last weekend in Portland. I am joined today to continue our recap on from the solo IGQ to the team tournament by Brandon and David.
Hello, Alex. Hi, David.
Hello, fellas. How
Hey,
you
Brandon.
doing?
Doing great.
Feeling great.
And then, in addition, we also have Mr. Jake Cooper of the team with the very, very long name, and appearing in game recap last week in mine and Brandon's runs. How you doing, Jake?
I'm super good. How are you?
Fantastic. I swarming in kittens, but maybe that's
yeah.
not such a bad thing.
I'm
I
sure
was
my
going to
dad
say,
will
I
make a
thought
way
you were
under
going to
this.
say, in addition, joined by a swarm of cats. As I watch them crawl all over you.
Yeah. No, yeah, the kittens love it. If I'm immobile for too long, they'll come swarm all over me. Oh man. All right. So we're kicking off this week. We got 3 rounds to cover, but before that, we have news that we had just started gaming out in the pre-show. We have Constance, Blaze, and Gallant. Let's get some hot takes. Where does Connie B slot in? And my mind immediately went to, when reading her, oh, it's the second coming of Nostilla and Aberration, models that just exist convincingly. The principal difference being you trade all of Nostilla's neat support abilities for just more offense.
Yeah. More offense with 0 ranged output. No offensive spells, no guns whatsoever.
Yep.
Pure melee. And
I mean, is that
do
really that different from Aberration, though?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that POW 10 boostable or range 10 boostable POW 15 gun has an impact on the game. So does her gun and the ability to dark seduce. You've got the ability to reach out and touch models with her that you have 0 ability to do with Blaze and Gallant. That said, they do exist convincingly better than any other package.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are the most niche of true mercs that we've had released so far. There will be some homes for them. I don't think they're going to be super common once the new shiny new toy syndrome wears off, but you'll see in places.
So there's a sort of sub question there, which is, what is the most ubiquitous true merc? I feel like it's Magnus and Invictus.
Has to be.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then, what are we looking at here for differentiating factors between Magnus and Invictus and Constance, Blaze, and Gallant? I mean, obviously, the ranged output is a big detachment. You're losing an inch of melee threat range. I don't know that Gallant is much less dangerous than Invictus, if at all.
He is less dangerous. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Invictus has 2 initial attacks that have a meaningful power. A POW 18 and a POW 19. Gallant has a POW 19, but then his second attack is a 14. So if you're attacking another hard target, significant difference. Invictus has a free charge. Gallant does not. So Invictus functionally has a 2 attack advantage over Gallant. If you're dealing with something that's triggering Atonement,
yeah.
then Gallant can get 1 extra die of damage on his 3 attacks he makes with that weapon. Whereas Invictus functionally gets 4 extra dice worth of damage from having the 2 extra attacks.
Mm-hmm.
In a situation where a target has a shield, Invictus wins out harder. In a situation where the target has some other armor buff, then that one of those extra attacks is a POW 18, so it's a little less. But bottom line, I think in most scenarios, Invictus does an appreciable amount of damage more than Gallant against the same target. Mm-hmm. But with Gallant and Blaze, you can leverage Blaze's output in addition to Gallant's output most of the time and end up doing far more overall damage than you can with just Invictus alone. and far more safely than you would ever dream of involving Magnuson. So as a like melee output module, they will do more, but just super heavy compared to super heavy, Invictus is going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. I buy the underlying math. Oh my gosh. Baby cat is attacking my hand with my mouse. David, Jake, thoughts from you guys. Is she jumping out and screaming for attention in any of your lists? Or is, she gonna pass you by as a situational true merc for the time being?
She's not necessarily like got me super excited, but I really love playing Bodan, and Bodan dies to spells really good. And I think Aegis on him will be kind of interesting, and I might let him play a little more forward. In addition to like World Number is usually taking like the chosen like 1 or 2 primevals, and then having another being able to throw on like some more spell hate somewhere and having like 50-ish points of army that is really challenging to cast at, I think could be really interesting. There's also the cool synergy on Bodon's feet turn of like Bodon can pass off to Connie, who can pass off to Gallant, which I don't know, it's cute and maybe it'll come up, but I'm just curious to see from a utility standpoint. Like, I'm a big fan of a model that can just hang out and do its own thing, and I just don't have to worry about it and let my caster do their thing. So I'm curious to see where they end up in there. But
I think the Aegis point is a really strong one here, because Bodan has this upkeep spell that he brings for himself that he could cast on himself to give himself +2 armor, but specifically for an arm 14 warlock whose feat says basic attacks get shunted off to other models, he's often going to be vulnerable to people casting spells at him. Even at arm 16, he'll still be vulnerable. But if you make him you make your opponent -5 range targeting him, that has an outsized impact on his survivability in terms of where he can stand. So that's a really good idea there with that combo. And then obviously, like you identified, if it's basic attacks, so gunshots that are not star attacks and melee attacks that are not star attacks, if Constance is standing there, he gains a combined health pool of 46 boxes plus potentially 5 overboosts from her before you can ever start damaging him just from Constance and Gallant. So yeah, that's some pretty good tech.
yeah, I'm curious to see how it shakes out.
I think
David
I'm not really looking at this module as anything I want to shove into Grimkin, to be honest.
Well, I was going to ask, as a Grimkin player with the ubiquity of the cart, why do you rightly have no fear of this model?
I think if it doesn't threaten a house, then I don't care, right?
There we go.
Kind of the bottom line of this. And even if it charges the 12 inches, it threatens 12 inches, right? Even if it gets there, that's 3 attacks, one of which is 4 dice off 3 into a house. It doesn't finish the job, right? And I think the first blush on this module was, it threatens 12 inches, but the output's just not great. And so I didn't really see very much promise there. But if you think about this module as I'm going to sit on this objective and you are going to have to come into me, good luck cracking armor 22. And when you get there, you're generating me focus on my activation with Gallant, right? And then Constance can mop up with Flashing Blades. And that sort of play style it's pretty interesting for sure, right? I don't think Grimkin is in any shortage of like counter punch models. That's what the faction kind of feels like across the board. So I don't think there's a place there, but I think it is pretty cool. And then just like some fantasizing about playing other merc armies, right? You could put Storm Rager from Shay if you're playing pirates on her.
With Kudamane and the feet to go super far.
Kudamane says privateer models only, so unfortunately I don't think she gets to benefit.
Not that one, good catch.
But the feet definitely moves them 3 inches, so that's pretty damn far. And a Storm Ranger, and then her.
Oh, but can't move Gallant though, right? Just a little bit of score energy there.
Oh, Gallant can
because he
be
can't
placed.
be pushed.
I think it's an advance.
I thought the feet was a push.
It's a good question.
It might be an advance. I don't know. I'd have to look
on Shay, it's
Good question.
on Shay, I'm pretty sure it's a place. I can check.
I'm pretty sure it's anything but a place. I'm gonna bet 50 lip coin that it's not a place.
I'll take
Oh,
that.
I'm gearing up. I'm gearing up for an infusion of Lipcoin here.
I think the feat
Oh,
says Pathfinder.
I
and
just looked it
Infuse.
up. You would lose. It's an advance,
Yeah,
so he can
Ah,
totally move.
yeah.
yes.
So I think that module's cute. Fiona makes it invincible for a turn, right? Like that's pretty disgusting. Midas can give her Weapon Master with Battle Lust. And there's a bunch of like cute stuff out there. I'm sure there's more. We were talking about Maylock and that whole package being pretty interesting there, right? Giving her more armor.
Maylock can make this Knight of Morrow a devoted subject of Morrow, who shepherds Morrowan's souls to the afterlife. He can make her undead and collect souls for him.
Yeah, that seems pretty fun.
Welcome to being a true merc in 2026. Stand
so
for nothing.
I'm sure there's other things out there that we haven't even thought of yet. I mean, Damiano just like flat out makes all the true mercs really, really disgusting, right?
Yep.
But Invictus is probably still better there. I'm sure somebody will think of something off the wall that we haven't thought of yet.
Well, there is one thing, you know, as pertains to Grimkin that I have been talking with a lot of Kithgard players about. And honestly, this is, you know, applicable for anyone feeling oppressed by the house laser. Is she's actually a pretty good her and Gallant are a pretty good bracing point for an army to prevent being pulled in by the house. And an interesting thing, you know, plenty of armies have, you know, like sturdy ability to give out shield guard, etc. But an interesting element that's going on here is because, you know, Constance Blaze can shove anything to Gallant. She's essentially like a forward roaming satellite that's independent of this extra large base that you can use to brace even more of your army. So even if the offense isn't up to scratch, I think, you know, as pertains to the Grimkin aspect, a lot of people are feeling so pinned by that faction that they may start reaching for extra tools just to shore up that defensive weakness.
I do have to correct you, Alex. She is not the satellite. She's the celestial body around which Gallant orbits. He's the satellite. She's the focal point.
Right. She's the dwarf star and he's the planet.
Precisely.
Well, there we go.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's kick on from news and announcements over to Dragon's Fury Wrath. Actually, let's start at Dragon's Fury and just set a little bit of the scene. So we all show up Saturday morning, play a ton of games. We're going till about 7 or so. Round 4 finishes. Everybody F's off from the tournament hall, goes and gets drinks and dinner, and then we come back in the morning, play the finals, and then we start the team tournament. And with 7 teams there, somebody gets the bye. So let's talk about brunch.
Yeah, I mean, we fortunately, you know, we were all congregated outside. Jake very dramatically walked outside and said, "Boys, listen, we got the bye." And so we cheered because a win is a win. And then we went and ate at a place called Provence. Is that right,
La
Jake?
Provence, yeah.
La Provence. We had some croissants and some pancakes. I had French onion
risotto
soup.
cakes. They were amazing.
Risotto cakes, yeah. I had French onion soup at about 10:30 in the morning, which is highly recommended. And we talked a little bit about the matchups. We were watching Longshanks for updates as they were coming in, but it was a pretty easy round for us.
Pretty luxuriant round. Actually, I'm gonna wind back even further than that. So your guys' team name was, and I've just been saying the team with the long name, Coleman Entertainment Spray presents Worm Buffet, a War Machine team. So this wound up being sort of the Portland-ish area all-stars. So this was you two guys, plus Brett Cordell, Dennis Wilson, and James Thane. How did this team come to be, and what the hell is with the name?
I can speak a little bit to the name. We were all signed up, and somebody asked something in our Discord chat about like, hey, so like, when do we want to start planning? Like, we have a team name idea, and then someone was like, I don't know, Jake, you're captain. And I was like, oh, that's news to me. And we,
As many team captain decisions are made.
yep. And I'm terribly indecisive in general because I initially just had us like an unnamed team of very handsome boys from Portland, and I guess Dennis, affectionately known as Den, consulted a friend of ours for the name, which ended up being Worm Buffet, but we, just being a bunch of dorks, had to extend it out and make it extremely long and super obnoxious and expensive to put on a plaque. So
Yeah, that's the best bit of trivia is that JC had to pay by the letter.
yeah, I feel terrible. I actually ended up Venmoing him.
Oh man.
So that's why you guys won. You paid off the TO.
100%, absolutely.
And we were full of brunch.
And we were
Cannot,
full of brunch.
cannot.
French
discuss.
onion soup apparently is a PED. Now we know.
Right.
Yeah.
Team California War Dolphins was Team California War Dolphins was full of samosas by the time we played.
That
Not
sounds
bad.
way better.
That wasn't until like round 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
By the time we played them. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, exactly. Did you know Cosma isn't his first name?
Oh my
I also
God.
have another fun college name story when it comes to Connie B and why I sometimes call her Constance Blazewicz, but I'll save that for later.
Jay Beatnik, your groupies are going kind of hard here. You Cosmo.
Apparently so. Oh man. Okay.
Cosmonauts assemble.
Yeah. So as far as team composition consideration, obviously you guys are all friends. Was there any like infighting in terms of factions? Just easy peasy. We're all playing these things. Just go for it.
Yeah, we have a lot of folks who are really passionate about the factions they play and who are willing to kind of like delve deep and get excited about things that maybe aren't necessarily the things that are best for the faction, but that are best for them. Like James is a really great Shadow Flame player who, bless him for always taking on the mirror, because we always make him take on the mirror in team tournaments. I'm sure he's tired of it. And then Brett has been really enjoying Kithgard and doing a lot of work with them since Boker Brawl. And I think I was the only person with a Lumberry on the table, so I had my pick of the litter. But
right. And then Brandon, we were on California War Dolphins, which is reprising last year's team. But we made the mistake of trading out our good luck mascot for an absolute hard ass.
It was not a mistake. Getting Riker was an absolute pleasure. And I will take that man on my team any day of the week.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, yeah, I'm just screwing around.
Our mistake was apparently not getting French onion soup or paying off JC before the event.
Yeah.
I paid him off.
Now we know what
after
to do
the
next
event.
year.
Thank you very much.
I mean, that may have been when cash changed hands, but when did the agreement happen?
The
I kid,
lawyer
of course,
side coming
but yeah.
out. We'll all come with our to-go cups of French onion soup next year just
my
to
God.
make sure.
I don't even like it. I'm just gonna be drinking it like, I gotta win though.
Oh man, who is that? Sorry, I'm just remembering the story of some party leader in South Africa facing gun charges, and when the verdict is read, he's drinking a luck potion during the trial.
Sounds like a good business.
Did it work? Was he
it must have. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So reprising similar team to last year. So it was you, me, plus Eric Eicherman, Justin Dew, and then we traded out John Damaris for Dan the Lion Riker.
Yeah.
And we're going into round 1, not at brunch, and we hit Team Primed and Ready, which is another local Portland team. Honestly, I don't know much about the pairing process other than you had whipped up an application, sent us a link, made us submit our pairings, resubmit our pairings, and then resubmit our pairings. And then I completely effed off while you and the robot did magic work. So how did this process go?
You just described it.
Oh, brilliant.
That's it. I mean, normally when people do team tournaments, they give their team either a spreadsheet where they've put in all the data and then give them a box to say whether it's good or bad, or they just write it down in a Discord server on a sheet of paper or something, and they send it to their captain, and then they make a grid and make their choices. I made it simpler with a little application where you could just press a button to read the list and then press a button to say whether it's good or bad. And then from there, we followed the guide that it gave us and did our pairings.
And is this the application that's currently live on the Android store, or is that a different one?
No, this is not a public application. I did make a dice probability or a War Machine probability calculator that is live on Android in the US right now. And it's also available as a web app. If you go to magesite.github.io, I'll type it to Keith and he can put it in here. Anybody can use it. It's completely free. It's super powerful. If you don't use all the bells and whistles, then it's very intuitive to use. But if you do have some like very specific things you want to do, it's incredibly capable. And yeah, it's all free. And if you like it, consider donating to the Ko-Fi link that we can get Keith to put up at some point here. But it did cost me actual money to develop and a lot of time. So I appreciate any donations, but it's completely free.
Okay. Well, so that's
super cool.
not what we were using.
No, it is not.
Assassination
But
Math
since you brought it
Machine.
up.
Yeah. Wait, man, when we get to round 2, I sure wish I was using it. But yeah, so we're playing against Team Primed and Ready, which is another primarily Portland-based team. And you put me down into Storm Legion, yourself down into friend of the show Jeff Zach running Grimkin, Dan into Necrofactorium, Ike into Brinebloods, and Justin into Gravediggers. Did this turn up pretty much like either as the algorithm or as your foresight and thinking about this matchup process go as you expected?
Yeah, we got the outcome that we wanted for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and yeah, tell us briefly about your game with Jeff. I remember him saying I had a chance at a shot at Brandon, but he did the math and made sure it didn't happen.
Yeah, so he played King of Nothing and I played Kane, and I've played this matchup at least once so far in 2026, so I understand the basic beats of it. And it's essentially, as long as I don't let King assassinate me, then I just keep killing his army until the game's over. And there are a few things you have to do to not let King assassinate you. One of them, always have blur. 2, try to stay outside of his ability to run and place a trooper model within 5 inches of Kane. And 3, try to have defensive terrain, so cover, for instance. And in Gravediggers, it's really easy to always have cover for at least 2 turns of the game if you want to.
Especially with Sapper going away.
Right, I was going to say, especially now that nobody can take Sapper if they want to. So you've got military engineering to dig him in wherever, whenever, at some point in the game, and then you can always drop a mantlet. And if one mantlet wasn't enough to satisfy you, there's always second mantlet. So yeah, plus whatever terrain exists on the table, right? So you have to be cognizant of the threat to kill Kane, and that is going to be King's out in the game. And as long as you deal with that, then I think it's Kane's game to lose. And that's basically how the game went. I think at one point he had the opportunity to try to kill me, but it was like maybe 1.4% assassination. And I can't avoid giving him any opportunity to try, right? But
right,
I can only make it as minimal as possible. And I think that's the run that he lamented not taking, because it only got worse from that point on for the rest of the game.
You know, over the course of the weekend, I had a number of people talk to me about the Grimkin versus Kane matchup, and a bunch of people like, why don't you just drop King? Like, like you at least have a chance to kill him. I'm like, yeah, but a lot of players will know King is coming, so they'll be watching their P's and Q's. Like, what if you just ashes to ashes him to death? They're like, okay, I got bad news. I already used up the 3-inch leap out card against Brandon at Rocky Mountain Rumble. He's never going to fall for it ever again. The one bridge has been burned.
Once per year. I'll fall for it again next year. Once I forget.
Okay,
It hasn't happened in
brilliant.
a while.
Yeah, somebody else picks up leaps, we can try again.
You can give
yeah.
Constance Blaze Electroleap with Storm Veins in both Signar armies.
Ooh.
So you can get in there and make a bunch of them.
Yeah, a bunch of flashing blade electro leaps. Well, my game came down as it was a Calder and Sparkhammer pair. So both fairly conventional lists, including Sparkhammer running Thunderhead. Sparkhammer has a bunch of super dangerous vectors. You got to watch out for the Thunderhead. You got to watch out for the Lances because they can come in at pretty dang high pow, especially if you can activate in between them. He can get you with Electro Leaps. So I had to mind my P's and Q's about being within 3 inches of things. He's got Force Hammer. He's got all this stuff. But it turns out there's an important counter vector, which is if Sparkhammer's control area ever touches the Abyssal King, it means he's probably dead. Because it means I don't even need Beacon or Drag to come and get you. You're just in range.
Well, I mean, unless his control range is extended, right? Then you need Beacon.
Oh, yeah, then I do need Beacon. Yeah. It turns out I got both Beacon and the Drag. I came and got him, but, Sparkhammers, we're both running dangerous games, and I think that game toilet bowls pretty fast if he doesn't, like, whichever one of us forgets to mind our P's and Q's first. So round 1 went my way, and then we split into round 2, and Brunch and Games converge.
Sure do. Absolutely do. And
so we have Worm Buffet versus War Dolphins. What was your guys' thoughts going into this? And I suppose even before that, what were your preparations into team matchup evaluation? Like, how did you slice this particularly?
Yeah, before we dive in, I do want to correct you real quick. It is Coleman Entertainment Spray presents Worm Buffet, a War Machine team.
Okay, but what's the acronym?
Oh God, dude, it's 5 o'clock.
You didn't come prepared with the acronym?
No, I didn't. I'm
wow. Sorry. It's like you've never been on TV before.
Kesquabatom Bawatum.
There you are.
Oh, it's Mayan?
Kesquabatom.
There it is.
Jesus. Thanks, Cosmo.
That's it. An ancient, long dead Mesoamerican language is your team name.
That's a spell. That's what he just did.
Just by saying that, I'm gonna have to conduct a little blood ritual just to make sure the sun comes up tomorrow.
Oh my God.
I think that's just the spell to summon the French onion soup, is what it is.
Oh man, yeah, I can envision like the Aztec manuscripts, like a drawing of a giant multi-armed snake-headed or worm-headed creature with like a bowl and an onion in one hand.
That's beautiful.
And just like defeating everyone who comes before it.
Yeah.
Our friend Coleman is quite the artist, so we'll get on that art shortly here after this call.
Put me on the list. The
Kesquabatom is going to have official team art next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Dope.
Okay, so yeah, how were you guys preparing for matchups and doing your evaluations and team process?
We did have a matchup matrix that we made, and that kind of helped us. We talked through basically like where we wanted to lead with, and then what we wanted to follow with, depending on like the pairing process. And a good part of it was like Brett is super on board to just take a lot of matchups because he's like learning Kithgard and he is feeling pretty comfortable in a lot of them. So like a lot of it was like, all right, we're going to start with Brett. see what happens. And then James has a solid. He felt like he had a solid matrix into the War Dolphins with his Shadow Flame Shard setup. So following with him and getting him in a spot where we can either give him the mirror or get him into a favorable matchup, which for him was
It was
basically everything.
Eric Eicherman, the game he played the day before.
Yep. Which again, I love the man, and he did not want to do that, and he's a really good friend for doing it. And then going from there, I really wanted to avoid dropping into Gravediggers because old Umbre.
Yeah, because you have a severe bullet allergy.
Yes, it's terminal, unfortunately. And then we wanted to keep Dennis out of Gravediggers as best we could as well. But spoiler alert, that didn't end up happening, and he's a good friend for jumping on that.
Oh yeah. Poor Dennis. He could not help catching a lot of strays this weekend.
Yeah.
Truly. But you got to win 3 out of the 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. You just have to do like a passable in aggregate, a passable mid-tables placement, and you can win the whole thing on the back of that. This is the beauty of team tournaments.
100%.
Brandon, did we have any special considerations on our end other than computer says no?
Let me see if I can bring it up. Sorry, I should have done this a while ago. From what I recall, this was a situation where we were likely to end up getting one of our soft dodges and then a bunch of neutrals. But I think the way that we had things rated, we actually ended up getting 1 or 2 good matchups, and we may have also avoided all of our soft dodges. I can't remember for certain, but I recall that the pairing process went well for us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think Kithgard was a bit of a question mark for me here, but I didn't necessarily feel terrible about it. So that definitely checks out on my end. And on this one, we were playing, this was Payload, right? Longshanks still isn't telling me, but that's what I recall. Oh, it is. Except for the games where it's not. Fucking Longshanks. Oh my God. The 502 gateway error is still living with us in fun and annoying ways. Yeah, so games came down. JC Cervantes, the MC for nope, that's the wrong games. Jesus. Okay, here we go. I got it. So David, you were playing Dan Riker. Ike was playing James. Me and Brett were playing Jake. It was you and Justin in Bodan Mirror. And then we had Brandon versus Dennis. Who wants to jump in and go first here? And actually, I guess we should say this round also had a twist in it. So be sure to mention the environmental factors as you run through.
Well, I don't know that it was a twist now that we understand there was some money that changed hands. I feel like the citywide blackout in Beaverton that happened halfway through the round was because of Team Ketchum Quaddle now at this point.
All right, guys, that's my confession. My dad is John Portland General Electric. I called
knew it.
I'm sorry.
I knew it.
You just got on the phone with Coleman like, listen, buddy, complications happened. It's top tables round 2. We need the contingency plan to go ahead a few hours early.
But yeah, there was a citywide blackout in Beaverton that happened somewhere between like the first quarter and like midway through the round. And not only were all of the lights just off in our gaming space, they were off everywhere. And so we just had to pause, and then they opened the doors and people were using their phones for a while. We finished the round. And then after the round, the Joe, being the guys running the event, moved a bunch of tables outside for the final round, and then moved other tables towards the front of the warehouse space so they could get more natural light in. So we were basically playing by candlelight for half of the tournament.
This is how they played War Machine in the 1800s.
Yes. It's how they played War Machine in the War Machine universe.
You get to the tournament hall at 5 a.m. so you can start playing with first light and then get done before Vespers.
Yeah, everybody rolled with the punches, though. It was great.
That was super fun. There's some really great pictures from that.
Yeah, so Jake, you started. I'm gonna see if I can dig around and find pictures to send Keith just so we can have graphic illustrations. So Jake, you wound up against Justin, old Umbre Mirror. What was the thought process that led to this being Bodan v Bodan? And then talk to us through, because you guys have some pretty substantial list differences as well. Talk us through, sort of the asymmetry there.
Yeah, I think so. Justin actually picked that matchup, and I think part of it was him wanting to, based on what we were talking about, like get some experience into it. And as far as differences go, just from chatting with him during the game, my understanding is Justin built his list pretty specifically for the mirror, and I pretty much only play Bodan. He's just really, really cool. So I have him built to kind of fit like my specific play style and like the way I like to play the game. So I had a much more like generalist approach, and he had like some cool tech pieces that came up later in the game that were in the list that were really effective and interesting. And we both, I think our off list was both Galena, and I discovered that weekend that I just don't like playing her. But I think that a lot of the pieces in my Bodan list, like namely like Lord of the Hunt, do make running Galena with like the Starved and Shadow Pack and some other stuff under Insight like pretty challenging. So we ended up in the old man fight, which was really, really cool. And the first couple of rounds were like pretty standard, like we're scoring back and forth, kind of posturing at each other. He has a Rush Feral and I don't, which made for kind of our battle groups facing off in a really interesting way. Mine was much further back and kind of off the objectives, and playing pretty cagey, whereas he was able to like press forward a little bit. And he ended up scoring up on me really, really hard when scoring started. I think it was like it might have even been 4-0.
Some of the points disparities that were going on in that game were like, wait, so this game ended by an assassination run. How did Jake possibly stabilize after this level of points disparity?
So it ended on a scenario victory on my part. It was really bizarre. I think it was something I haven't pulled up. I think he technically he removed a lot of models, but unit scoring is interesting. But I think the only thing he actually like removed that counted for him was my Wishmark totem for 1 point. And based on like the way the game went, I think I picked up like 96 points of army. But I like picked up 96 points of army and was like actively like struggling to stay in the game the entire time. And part of that was because he scored up on me really early on round 2, and then he jammed his whole army in my face, and he had a bunch of or not a bunch, but a handful of the Apex Lupines and the Lupine Shifters who have Life Drinker, and then they get Last Word under Bodan's feet. So I would try to take them off of an objective or like kill a model. Wolf would pop out, and then I would try to kill the wolf. The wolf would clock over to him. The wolf would kill something, heal D3, then I have to kill it again. And we ended up in a situation where like every attack mattered, and I had to contest him to the point where he was only scoring up to every round until I was able to move further up the board. And similar to our game Cosma, I ended up in a spot where I put Bodan just like a little too far forward, and he clocked it and went in for the assassination, and he ended up it was like down to the last roll from the assassination to needing like a 9 on 2 to kill Bodan. It was a really tight game, and it was really fun, and I learned a lot. And yeah, it was very, very cool.
Right. And I mean, when it comes to old Umbre mirrors, um, you know, when it comes to old Umbre mirrors, I think there's well, there's sort of folk wisdom which says whoever brings the most shifted will win, but that's sort of a broad heuristic. Just more generally, Bodan seems like the king of the mirror in that faction. Is that your experience? And what did you have to do to pull back from a shifter deficit here?
Yeah, it has been. I think Bodon's great in the mirror. I think a lot of that is like to the Hounds' credit and Scribala specifically. Scribala under Insight will ruin like a lot of Old Umbre's day because they take a lot of medium and large bases that are like middling armor against range attacks, and Scribala is a crit knockdown, POW 16 rat like 96 under Insight monster. Um, and then for me specifically, I take Lord of the Hunt. I like him into the Starved a lot. I like him into just a lot of I like him into like Bear Cav a lot because he, Insight or not, will eventually when he has Hunter online have a lot of quality attacks and just pick things up like turn over turn.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think a lot of that makes or breaks the mirror. Like Old Umbre is pretty allergic to shooting and they're allergic to Insight, and when you can take like some pretty good guns under Old Umbre, under an Insight caster who they don't really have like a spell assassin or any way to really get around like Bodon's feet outside of like Reznikova, it feels pretty dominant for Bodan.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question? I started rambling.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you're sort of really leveraging the small handful of guns that you have, to just create a decisive attrition advantage. And it's interesting also that you're playing around from, a battle group on battle group threat range deficit, but because Insight makes all your models so explosive, like my intuition is that deficit doesn't matter as much when like, okay, your primeval can connect with something, but it'll be trading down because even support staff can pick it up under Bodan.
Yeah, and to Brandon's point earlier in the cast when we were talking about constants, where kind of the battle can come to you. I've gotten pretty comfortable playing like without a rush feral, for example, and waiting for scoring to start and getting to the point where like, okay, I've got winged nuisance to help kind of let my primeval get in there, but I can also just kind of starting to threaten across a lot of the scenario objectives. And you have models like Lord of the Hunt and Razor on both flanks they're super wily and they move like a cajillion inches a turn and are really hard to actually just like touch. And you start getting to that like turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, where the things that can handle them become fewer and fewer, and they get to move like further and further up the board. I think Old Umbre specifically being a faction where that's not like a really high model count army, generally speaking, outside of like Morozov. They start getting to run the board, which is pretty cool.
So I'm gonna ask one more specific question here because I think this is also like Lord of the Hunt with Bodan is up there with running lupines as sort of a dick move for last word tech. But more than that, Bodan takes his okay offense up to like superlative levels. Like it's no longer just situational, it's great output. How often do you find yourself prioritizing getting corpses to Lord of the Hunt as fast as possible so that you hit that 3 cap milestone and he starts being a serious business contributor in the early game? Because a lot of complaints about Lord of the Hunt are that he often just sits there in the background and he's 9 points of background player to like round 4 or 5 when he starts entering the game meaningfully.
Yeah, so generally speaking, Veroni's first 2 turns are putting a corpse on him. And then I'll usually use Blessing of the Gods to get him his 3rd corpse to get like Hunter online, Rate of Fire 2 online. But it really does depend on the matchup. Because sometimes Veroni, like you really need that POW 2022 Primeval. But generally speaking, I'm playing him like for like turn 3, 4, and 5, where he's playing pretty slow. He's hanging out on a 40 or hanging out on a flag, killing a guy here, killing a guy there. And then getting to a point where he becomes really challenging to deal with if you don't have access to like grievous wounds, especially under Bodon's feet, where like because of the way Last Word and Hunt Eternal interact, you can actually walk away and then trigger Hunt Eternal. And
Yes.
and then suddenly, like I've had several games where people have had to kill him 4 times.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
super annoying. Like
under Bodan feet turn, if you have to kill Lord of the Hunt,
Yeah.
make sure it's not with a living model if he's on 4 corpses.
Yeah. And additionally, so I play a unit of hunters with him, so I typically try to position the hunters within 10 inches of Veroni, so that I'm consistently filling Veroni up on like turn 2, 3, 4, and I can dump 5 corpses on Lord of the Hunt, dump it on the Primeval, dump it on my staff Primeval if I really want the spicy POW 17 Blast 11 Earth Spikes, and just being really careful about model placement to make sure that my corpse economy is like working together for the army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, and the reason I ask about this is that's that sort of like avenue of play or attention to micro detail that could be make or break, especially with heavy variance between the lists, is like, you know, knowing what your relative strengths are and really using those to the hilt, especially when you're in a behind position to you know, to just make sure like my opponent is eventually going to run out of stuff and I'm going to stay in this.
Yeah, and that's why I like the model. Frankly, he, you know, similar to Razor, he's super independent, and he just becomes a problem. And he'll start finishing off heavies. He'll pick up just all kinds of units in the late game, especially once you start to like get casting insight with like impunity after your feet turn, and most of a lot of stuff are picked up. Yeah.
Okay, and then this game came down to Justin goes for an assassination run on you. He fails, and then you win at the end of his turn. And this is, you know, this is like sort of like our game in the solo IGQ. Did you really have to be standing there? I guess have you had a conclusion about that in your time to meditate on it?
Yeah. The answer is no, which is almost always is when I play Bodon. But goddamn, shooting the bird is so fun. But yeah, that weekend was a really awesome weekend for me, like as just learning how to play a caster that I love. Which is like I do think the flowchart starts with like, does Bodon need to be there? And the answer is usually no. You've usually got some other options where, like, especially when you've got like all of your corpses are out and everything's kind of like all of your synergies are online, like you don't necessarily need insight. You can just kind of hang back and start just playing
he usually just needs to be maliciously loitering, not punching cops.
I think malicious loitering might end up being a team name in the future. That's awesome.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for you know, entertaining my my desire for deep dive there.
Oh my God, I'll yap about War Machine and Old Umbre for years.
Well, I think we're gonna have to, you know, I think at some point before WTC, I want to do an Old Umbre revisited. I know I talked with Mike Sterling last year, but yeah, I think I'd like to get your deep dive. So, you know, keep your DMs open. David, you are playing into Old Umbre again. Look at that.
Very popular question.
And you know, as is the norm, the Lion has no need for a second list. So you're playing Morozov versus your, you know, dealer's choice here. How does this matchup go?
Well, we saw that because a Lion doesn't need a second list, that we had our choice here for our pairs, like however we wanted to match this up. And the thinking here is, number one, I just 5-rounded Old Witch, and I wanted to drop King, and this was probably the best opportunity to, because the thinking is, Ashes to Ashes into Morozov sounds great, right? The bounces don't trigger shifters. That could be a thing to leverage here. And then I have a significant amount of shooting, which I know that Old Umbre does not like, right? And so we roll. I believe I win the roll and choose to go second, if memory serves, but I could be wrong on that one. But this game,
Longshanks says you were indeed going second.
got it, perfect. And so Riker moves. Riker goes first. Riker runs at me with his whole army, of course. He keeps
Just
all
more
his,
of things.
just more of things. Keeps all of the wardens within 5 of his kind of like his beast package, right? So if I start to ashes at bottom of 1, his beasts are just in my grill taking whatever they want, right? So I elect to kind of move up cautiously and not kill anything, but stay relatively out of threat ranges. Except the one thing that happens on top of 2 then is some wardens charge through a forest, because I forgot that they have forest walker. Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, tree walker. It's one of the warps off the unit attachment.
That's right. So I plug up a side with 2 kind of like disjointed forests with some burning ash clouds to block line of sight. But they were able to charge through and just kind of jam up my right side. That included Big Pig, some Dreadrots, and then Longfellow. And then his hounds were able to roll just slightly above average and kill my Isaiah without him doing anything this game, which is a huge deal. Isaiah usually produces, 2 to 3 times his points.
Yeah. He's as I think, as far as most people are concerned, he's one of the faction defining reasons to play Grimkin. Just having a business solo that is that power packed and can accomplish so much over the course of a game. So if he goes down, like, the other thing is, like, okay, you've got Fortune's Path and you've got all this stuff, but like your super reliable offense is a little bit limited, and Isaiah's sort of a cornerstone of it.
Yeah, 100%. So
especially when it comes to clearing junk that turns into incredibly high armor junk.
100%, right? But looking in hindsight now with how Riker built that list, I don't know if that's a standard Morozov list or not, but he only had
because he's running surprisingly few shifted. I think it's like an Ursine and a Lupine Apex. No, it's
Big Bear,
one of each Apex, and then a Little Bear, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like really my plan to kind of shut out his shifter game, not really there, because I have to kill 12 plus models to make that a reality. So I think all of those shifters are live. What ends up happening the top of 2 though is he kills Isaiah. He gets into my right side. He clocks it over to me after positioning with his second wave pretty conservatively. I'm still not able to threaten it in melee for the most part because my threats max out at about 10 inches in melee. I then proceed to have a turn where maybe I kill a Chosen and do no other work, like no other discernible work, because my dice go cold on my right side. I need 7s with a charging Clockatrice. I have 3 rerolls. I miss 5 times in a row or 4 times in a row, something egregious. Do no work at all, right? So I have 2 back-to-back, like pretty terrible turns. I move what I can. I score 2. I know I'm going to be able to score 2 to I think Riker's 1, and I clock over to him. Excuse me. And so Riker just kind of like has me exactly where he wants me, which is he's in my face. I am behind in scenario for the most part because he's going to be able to score, I think, 5 the next turn.
Basically, all his models are alive, which means Morozov is jumping for joy at this unprecedented event.
100%, right? Morozov had not even feated yet, so this is the turn where he feats. He continues to do work on my right side, killing more Dreadrots, and I'm really struggling to kill these Chosen. He has 2 left, but they're really gumming up this entire side. This Primeval is staring down my Big Pig pretty aggressively here. I will say that on my previous turn, I did kill his Feral because I was able to slow it with a Cockatrice and then shoot it with Big Pig, and then throw a time lock into the middle of the board. So his army is relatively slow. But Riker maps out a turn where his Primeval gets into my Big Pig, and he's able to basically wipe the rest of my Beast package off of the board. What does end up happening, though, is he, on the last Clockatrice attack on my Clockatrice, I cast a spell, because that is one of King of Nothing's abilities, right? So that I put a Burning Ash Cloud right in front of his Primeval, so he's unable to get to my Big Pig. So I save him with that one out of turn ability. He was saving Blessing of the Gods just for that activation, so he has to pivot, kill a bunch of Hollow Men instead, and my Big Pig is alive, and he clocks it over to me. Morozov is on one camp. He's feeded. He has a Little Witch in front of him with, I think, 4 corpses. So he clocks it over to me. It's looking pretty bad, right? But my only option here is Assassination. This is why I bring King, or this is why I wanted to bring King in the first place, is like look for runs like this to see if it's at all possible. But I'm out of resources here. The meaningful attacks that I could get into King are, I look the board over, it's Carver with a Torment, if possible, if I can get into the right position. It's Big Pig shots, and it's Longfellow shots. And so what I'm able to do here is run some Hollow Men into position so that King can Blessing up to 9 focus, or 9 fury, Sands of Fate to where the Hollow Men are, turn on Master of Ruin, and then I need to hit a 4 dice, drop the highest 9 to kill Little Witch to kind of turn everything else on. Otherwise, I'm under Signs of Importance, or bad Signs of Importance, Starcross. I'm under Starcross for every single one of these follow-up attacks.
Right. Yeah. And I think on a 3 dice and then Starcross it down, I think you're looking at like an average of a 7 or so. The math on Starcross is a little weird because it's, and I don't remember the exact reason for this, but like, you know, you do Signs Importance and it's like up 1.8. Again, it's been years since I've looked into this, but if you do the opposite of Signs Importance, the downward impact is actually like minus 2.2.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. The downward impact is it's bizarre because it only looks that way on the average roll, versus if you look at the margins, they have symmetrical like long tail ends, but the closer you get to the center, like they have some disparity there.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a boosted 10 without Starcrossed, you're at 62.5%. With Starcrossed, you go down to 38.35% to hit.
Yeah. I was looking for a boosted 9. That's why I
so it's like looking for 13.
That's a coin flip. It's a 51% chance at that boosted 9 with Starcross. So you're flipping a coin.
Flipping a coin. I end up hitting the Dust to Dust on Little Witch, and I boost damage. I remove her from the board, so I enable all the rest of my army to actually roll decent dice into Morozov. I then land a Breath Stealer, so he's -2 defense, because I think that's more important than a single other attack. And then I charge. I move off from King. He's done. He's done his job. I charge a Carver to get into position. Excuse me. So sorry. Bad radio, right? I charge a Carver to get into position to cast a Torment onto Morozov, forgetting that there is a totem in my face. And so Riker asks for the clock back. Totem's a POW 10. He needs to roll
danger zone.
Danger zone.
Real scary.
He needs to roll a 10, right? Right? Carver's base armor 19. So he needs to roll a 10 to knock me down. He hits it, knocks me down. And I think, like, oh my God, my run's over because I forgot this totem. Sucks. I take a minute to kind of collect myself. I see that Baron Tunglik can move, hop, and then throw an Ashes to Ashes to kind of start this chain. And so he does. I roll the 7 because Morozov has Fog of War up still, but -2 defense because of Breath Stealer. And then I crank the damage roll. It was dice off 6. I think I roll a 10 or 11. So I put 4 damage on him, which activates the +2 armor from Big Bear. So he's now armor 20 after everything is said and done because he's feated. He gets +2 from being damaged, but I have Master of Ruin on him. And then Longfellow proceeds to walk up exactly 12 inches and through a forest of like line of sight that I needed, pump 2 shots of Finisher Fortune Hunter. He does, let's see, the first one is dice off 10, and he does 3 damage, rolling 4 dice. And then the second one, he does 6 damage. And then what I have left is Big Pig. So Big Pig moves up. He takes 4 shots. He's able to transfer 1 of them, but the last shot does enough to trigger a tough check. Riker rolls and doesn't roll a 5 or 6, and I kill him. I do cheer, and then I immediately afterwards go back to the table and apologize for cheering. I did feel pretty bad, but it was a really tense run. And so, like, actually making it happen, I don't even want to look at the numbers of, like, what the percentage was on that assassination, because it was just, like, a wild amount of measuring and trying to make these attacks hit.
Well, unfortunately, you're on with the man who can tell you, but I'm not going to make him do it.
Yeah, I think it would make both Riker and me feel bad. So I don't know what the point would be.
You know, I'm on the record of saying this a lot. A lot of successful, like, big event wins often involve essentially a stolen game. So, you know, don't beat yourself up about it too bad.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the game to steal for sure. Like, I was so behind on attrition and scenario, and I got to pull that one up.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, the big thing from your story, I think, is like that there were, you know, multiple moments where this situation was coming down and, like, yeah, on the face of it, this assassination does not look great. But there were multiple moments where you had to dig deep to stay in the game and find the route through. Even in the face of major setback, you know, so very, very well done on, you know, having the reserves to stick with it even when it goes against you at a couple of crucial points.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Brandon, you were up against against someone with Den, who also has a noted bullet allergy. How did this game go?
He played Decethus, I played Kane, and I think I can't remember who went first, but he did the Decethus thing where you run up the table and invite your opponent to shoot you. And
I'm looking at it now. You did go first.
Okay. So I moved up the table as far as I could go because he doesn't have any real range threat besides Hades. And then he runs at me, and then I kill a bunch of stuff, and then he scores some points, and then tries to jam me up, and then I kill some more stuff, and then he kills a bunch of stuff, and the game goes like this for many turns, and it actually ended up being a very close game on scenario and attrition, and I saw an opportunity to kill Decethus. I was low enough on clock that I didn't want to have to try to play out the close end game, so I went for the assassination run because I think it was pretty good. It was Decethus, I think, had maybe like 3 souls, and I want to say it was probably like 0 camp from what I recall. But I had Kane with feet and Puppet Master and a heavy machine gun that could shoot at him, essentially. If my heavy machine gun hits and I flare him, then Kane does not need to cast Arcane Sight, and I need not ones to hit, which would be wonderful. Unfortunately, my heavy machine gun, which I can't recall, may or may not have aimed, it definitely missed. And so I also don't get the follow-up gunshots.
If this tracer round goes through on the first attack, I'm in business. Like, okay, so what's
I'm
naturally
super business then.
Yeah, naturally, what's the one every time somebody says some approximation of those words, what's the thing that happens on that attack roll?
Yeah, I miss naturally. So, so the heavy machine gun's done. At that point, I think it was just Kane that I had left to put into it. Oh, I'm sorry. I also could have walked up and got some gun mage shots if the heavy machine gun had missed or had hit as well. So there were a number of follow-up shots, but now it's just Kane. It's Kane, cast arcane sight, use your feet, and take. I don't remember whether I had blessing or not at that point. I may have. I think I already used it, so I get to take 7 shots with feet and try to kill this Decathus, who I think was on no camp. And if I'm wrong about any of the details, forgive me. I ended up killing him on my very last gunshot, and like cinching the game at that point. But it was a very close game, and Denny played a great game, and I had a lot of fun playing with him. We tussled in the dark this round,
Yeah.
and we both enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I was the first or close to the first done that round, and I don't remember whether the lights went down before my game ended or not, but I remember it being a close thing. So I hit Brett, who is, you know, just playing it at anything and everything. He puts down Gunbjorn, and I put down Boggity Bomb, and I won the roll off and chose sides because there was something that was very important that was happening in payload here, which was, so just to start off, payload is super favorable to my Boggity Bomb list. The army loves no scenario so much as payload. Absolute favorite. Because a king can sit on that 50 and menace basically the entire board from actually a pretty secure position. And he can sit there all game long just shooting at things if nothing is happening. And then the second it's go, he's go. And Boggity Bomb just trades places with him. So great scenario for me. I love that it's mostly centralized. This art, like, the army has so few activating modules that it really prefers a centralized scenario. So all that's great for me. In addition to that, there was the flag on one side could go to a quicksand that was in the center of the board, like almost the center of the board on the bottom third. So all 3 elements of my scenario geometry are in a tight little L, sort of like, you know, like this. And then there's a giant 6-inch long house that's touching my 40 and cutting it off from most of the board. So I'm like, oh my God, this is the most advantageous scenario position. So I'm like, I will happily go second and take this miracle little fortress. So, you know, Brett activates, playing Gunbjorn. He's got multiple units of steelbacks, Vraugr, Mistborn, Clanger, sort of your standard Kithgard good stuffs. One of the things he does also is on his first turn, immediately put Rudfeli, a Sidewinder, and a Hailer into the trenches. Because I have 2 battle brigs, and all those models love to screw up a battle brig. I move my stuff forward, and sort of I'm trying to be attentive to my battle brig's positions, but it's a little bit imperfect. He brings all 3 of them on one side, gets all of them within 9 inches, chooses to start with the Sidewinder. It rolls min shots, hits the battle brig, and then the brig just evasives out of range of the other 2. Like, so my brig is safe now. Sidewinder takes its second shot, and he's like, and the brig is like, oh, thank God. So Brett then is like mindful that I'm compressed basically in the middle of the board and completely out threading him. He hasn't taken any of my skirmishing models that's going to deal with his side of the board. So he pushes essentially everyone up and creates Fort Gunbjorn. He's got a very defensive distant control side on the 40s. And then Gunbjorn further in the back being bodyguarded by stalwart, whatever it is, spell on Clanger. He's got it on himself. He's got a guard tower. He's got scrappers basically right in front of my face. I untap on my turn and see Gunbjorn is plausibly within threat. One of the worst things that can happen is you have the option for an assassination after you just got one, or at least one of the worst things that can happen to me, because I immediately got red in my eyes and forgot what role I was playing, that all I needed to do was just sit there and wait out the feat and move my huge base and collection of extra large bases to physically block access to my scenario elements. Like, all I had to do was kill 3 steelbacks, and you literally can no longer interact with my scenario elements for at least 2 rounds. But I see Gunbjorn's fat ass sitting there in front of me that I can plausibly get. So mistake number 1, forgetting your role. Mistake number 2, starting an assassination run that admittedly is not guaranteed by your caster blowing their entire stack and standing directly in front of his army. Not a pro move.
So thirsty Bugatti bomb let his thirst get to his head.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. Bugatti bomb went in and cleared the scrappers, took a bit more work than I was prepared for, but you know what? It's fine. We're going. So the plan is Frog's going to go in, throw Clanger so that King has a landing spot, repo out so that we've got paralyzing gaze on the caster. Scuttlebutt is going to go in, charge the caster, boost a hit, get vice grip on him, sidestep over, kill the guard tower, and put some more warm-up damage into Gunbjorn, who's on 3 camp, by the way. 3 camp and I believe spiny growth. Then the King's gonna go in. King's damage profile on a 0 camp Gunbjorn should kill him. On 3 camp, not so much. So I need some warm-up damage to power through the camp. Frog misses the throw. Frog's just sitting there like a jackass. But Bugatti Bomb is already pot committed. It is literally impossible for me to reverse course at this point. So I'm like, well, this plan is screwed, but we got to keep going. Scuttlebutt comes in, gets the throw, but doesn't get any warm-up damage in. He's just able to get himself out of the way. I think he oh god, I think I missed the beacon ancillary to tag Gunbjorn and Clanger. So like King has to pay to charge, and I get there with 4 attacks against an armed 20 caster with 3 transfers and an impervious flesh. So we did not win that one. So long litany of dice punishing me for doing one of the stupidest things I've ever done. And like, good on you, Gods of Fate, and good on you, Brett, for sitting there while I just took like a 30-minute turn to be a flailing dumbass. Brett's a wonderful guy to play against, and like I'm sitting there living with my shame, but I'm also like living with my shame over like, you know, playing a fantastic friend and like, you know, really fun guy to play a game of War Machine against. So yeah, so that clocks out the round, and you know, of course we have you guys plus Brett making up the winning cohort, which is enough to advance to the finals. Yeah. Shall we move on to round 3? I think it's you guys versus nope. Is that right? It's you guys versus, you were playing 2 Messence, or was it 2 Messence? Okay. So Tomb Essence was the vaguely Washingtonian team. Is that right?
I think they just are Washingtonian.
They had
two Canadians.
Yeah,
but
Very
isn't that
odd.
kind of Washington? You know,
I suppose that's true. We'll call it the Pacific North or West team.
yeah, it was Sean plus a bunch of Tacoma guys that are really great that come down to Portland pretty often, as far as I
Mhm.
understand it.
Yeah.
And then 2 Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, what were you thinking when we were going through that pairing process? I mean, we had just
Yeah.
finished a barn burner of a round. Like we were
Yeah.
feeling pretty high on
Well,
that.
I think it was the last game going at round 2, and I wasn't sure how things were going, and all of
You
guys
were
were
literally
watching.
the last game still playing.
Yeah,
That's right.
so I was sweating bullets.
Mhm.
So I wasn't thinking like that hard. I mostly finished up, and I saw we were playing Sean's team, and I just adore Sean as a person, and I was like, oh, thank God, it's a comfort matchup. Like I get to play against the homie. But
And you get to play real life Street Machine.
yes,
You're actually
Oh.
outside in a parking alley.
I know.
That's right.
I was actually the only matchup that had to be a sucker and play in the warehouse, which is unfortunate, but that's an awesome picture.
and that warehouse is quite dark by this point. You're basically nestled up against the light.
Yeah, and I think that picture is probably from like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and I don't think we had like lights until 8 or something.
Yeah.
But the big one was we were pretty concerned about the Orgoth matchup, and they also had double Kithgard, and none of us were like super experienced just into Kithgard in general. David felt really confident into the matchup, and as far as like even keel matchups go, Dennis had a really strong looking matrix. So, leading with Dennis was the game plan, and I don't remember exactly how the pairing process wound up, but we felt pretty good about it by the end of it. We ended with myself going into Necrofactorium, with James, bless his heart, in the mirror for the
More mirror matches.
more mirror matches for the man, because he's amazing and we love him. David went into Sean playing Kithgard, and then we got Brett into Butcher, which was one of our stronger like feeling matchups, with Kithgard going into Butcher. Butcher was kind of a boogeyman for our team. Just looking at the matchups here. Partly because like I play Lord of the Hunt, and then we've got like Necrofactorium, bunch of tough models, and a bunch of tough models. So, and then we ended up with Dennis going into Kevin Hetmansky into Kithgard as well. Yeah.
And
my game was really cool. I played into Sam from Tacoma, who is a really wonderful person, and he played 1,200 Mechanothralls into me, and I was kind of dreading that because I bring quality attacks with my Bodon list. I bring more attacks, I think, than your average lumber player, but I don't think I bring enough to deal with. I think he was like double Night Terrors, like max FA Mechanothralls, some Necrosurgeons, and we ended up playing literally to round 7, where I ended up getting it by 1 point. It was a grinder of a game on I think high stakes, so like really really high scoring scenario. I played Bodon because he's my comfort pick, and I don't think Galena has the attacks and like model count to contest with his Sub-Serialist, which is just like push guys at you and just score at you. And I learned my lesson after 7 some odd rounds of War Machine of putting Bodon in places where he won't die. And I was pretty thankful for the matchup because Necrofactorium's like threat ranges are kind of in like the 11 to 12 range, and Bodon can exist pretty comfortably outside of that. Like cast Insight, I had a bunch of big forests on the board, some like Throne or Spikes and Night Terrors through the forests, and we play a very grindy, very sandpapery game that ends on turn 7 with some ridiculous stuff. Like the hounds are in his deployment zone, 2 inches from the right hand board edge. We've got like a Mechanothrall contesting a zone in my deployment zone. It was really, really cool. It was a really fun game.
It sounds like, because old Umbre armies do skew kind of small, and I think, if you're going to be taking on a million bazillion dudes, that Bodan probably is the play over Galena, because like as much as she can do hit and run, like she didn't have that many attacks. Like there's no feasible way where Galena kills 7,000 guys. It's just not possible.
Yeah, and you need to maintain like quite a bit of presence on high stakes specifically because of the way that scoring happens, and you just don't have the actual models on the board to do that. At least the way that I build Galena, which is like 70 points of battle group models. And so the hounds did a lot of heavy lifting. Earth spikes, my favorite spell on the game, did a lot of heavy lifting that game, despite the blast resist from Sepsira.
Right.
Yeah. But it was a lot of just like, oh, there's 5 Mechanothralls here, and they're not scoring, but I'm not scoring either, and they have tough, and their stats are just good enough to not casually pick up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sort of reminds me of like being a Scorn player in Mark II, Mark III, and playing against, the Cricks of the epoch. It's like, okay, I'm massively outnumbered. So every turn is going to be an exercise of like, how can I make all my attacks go as far as possible? Yeah, those are always really interesting games. I also heard remarked, I think several times by different onlookers, like, well, I think I think Jake has lost, but the rest of the team looks in pretty good position.
I walked by that table probably like halfway through the round because my game was over, and I wanted to see how your team was doing, because if you guys won, I think we were basically a lock for second. So like any good War Machine player, I went to go see how my second place buddies or how my friends are setting up second place for us, right? So I walked by your table and it looked like you had like 5 models left, and he still had like a million models. Like, all right, Jake has lost. I moved on. And for the rest of the round, you were the last game being played. For the rest of the round, I just assumed that you had lost. And when we got the final results, it wasn't until somebody told me you won your game that I realized you did not lose. It just looked so like difficult and challenging the entire time. So well done.
It was a total grinder of a game. It was super cool. It was like I made like a bit of a gambit with like I put Lord of the Hunt and then a unit of bears with Sacrificial Fervor, Bodon's new spell on them, like on a zone, and then he called my shot and just like combo struck the freaking heck out of me. I was like, oh, okay, my models are gone, but now I ambush with the unit of hunters, and they pick up the unit that just combo struck, and it was such an intense, like really cool back and forth across the entire game that I think we both had like 90 seconds on clock, and it came down to my literal last turn of like putting models places and scoring 1 more point than him. It was a really tight game. It was super fun.
Yeah, sounds like a great way to close out a tournament and close out a big weekend of War Machine games.
Yeah, total blast.
Yeah. David, you were up against Mr. Sean Hopkins running Gunbjorn. How did your weekend close out here?
Yeah, no shortage of WTC players to have to play.
Yeah, over the course of this weekend, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've known Sean for a really long time. Great guy, great opponent. It's always super fun to play him. Although it's been a number of years since we've sat at a table and played a game, probably since Mark III.
I think since the last time you played at a Dragon's Fury.
Yeah, basically. I feel like that's probably the last time. I felt great going into the Kithgard matchup because Labyrinth exists, and that army is threading like 10 inches in melee, or it wants to shoot you, which Old Witch feels great into, right? But if you can read that they're not bringing very many magical weapons, Gremlin Swarms can be a big deal, a really challenging scenario piece to have to work around for just 2 of my points, right? And so I kept that in mind as I deployed and as I kind of read the table to see what I was going to push and what I was going to just try to let go as far as scenario pieces. And so really, I think it came down to maybe it was the third round. I was able to score 2 points, bottom of 2, and then 2 points again. The score was 4-0. So yeah, it would have been the third round. I scored bottom of 2, 2 points. Yeah.
Mhm.
I go into top of 3.
Right, because
kind of
you're
losing-
going first, so you come out points positive, and then you're like, how do I cement this?
Right, exactly. And so I think, did it turn out that way? Man, there's too many days since we've actually played this game. How it ended up going is I was scoring 4 points going into his bottom of 3 is how the actual game kind of shook out, right? I was up 4-0. I was contesting his terrain piece. I was contesting my terrain piece with a gremlin swarm. And so at the end of my turn, I shoved the house with ill omens up to his 40, is I think how the setup is. And so he has to chew through an entire house with -1/-1 to his army. He has to somehow deal with this gremlin swarm, and he doesn't have spirit shamans in the list. So he has to either find a Gunbjorn attack for that gremlin swarm that's on my scenario piece, or burn a blessings card. And I have ill omens applied to his entire army. And so his turn, he sequences it so a jungle troll has to swing on a gremlin swarm with a blessing card, but he's -1 from annoyance because he didn't walk away far enough, and he's -1 from ill omens. So I think he needs a 9.
Looks like a 9, yeah.
9 on 3 dice. He rolls 8 twice.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Ooh.
boosted 8s. He rolls twice, and so he misses this gremlin swarm that he desperately needs to be able to score and get back into the game for this turn. He moves up Gunbjorn, realizes that the gremlin swarm is stealth, and he has no stealth outs either.
So he's just rolling a POW 8 armor piercing blast damage on you and hoping?
Yeah, so it's POW 4 armor piercing,
Or yeah, POW 4.
right? And then he ends up actually killing it with the blast damage, which, like, thankfully for him, right? Because otherwise he just loses immediately. So he's able to score that. So he, as the board progresses, he's scoring 1 to 3. The other thing that needs to happen here is he needs to clear the house. And so he takes the majority of his army to try to kill the house. He is successful. But the thing that I remember, because I packed another gremlin swarm for this, is when the house dies, it pops out a gremlin swarm.
Uh-oh.
Pop out the gremlin swarm to contest his 40 so that he can't score. He's out of magical weapons, and that cements the game.
Right. So that puts you on a 5-2 lead to wrap out the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So I've been hearing a lot that Grimkin is a borderline insurmountable problem for Kithgard, particularly old witches. And she just challenges on a ton of different vectors that they really don't like. I mentioned when we were talking about Constance Blaze that they challenge on the pull thing, and a lot of Kithgard players feel obligated to play Gunbjorn into it. Otherwise, like, their army is relatively slow. They are super vulnerable to Labyrinth. You're bringing Windstorm, and they don't really have great shooting answers to that, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we can go down this whole roster of problems that make this matchup very hard. And, like, deep down, because it's funny, because any one of these can potentially break a matchup, but the first one that pops into your head isn't typically, oh god, how do I kill the gremlin swarm? But that is a problem.
It is a problem. If you're not packing spirit shaman in that list, I think it's definitely a problem.
Also, sorry.
No, please.
This is to chime in. David and I played a pickup game a couple of weeks ago, and I got surprised gremlin swarmed, and I have not played against gremlin swarms in like probably 3 or 4 years. The model's a nightmare. Like, whose idea was that? They are so stinky. Anyway, I just wanted to share.
Yeah, truly. Um, but I think that's just like one of the tools that a tournament player needs in their bag, right? You need to be able to answer stealth to a certain degree, and you need to be able to answer magical weapons to a certain degree.
Mhm.
Otherwise, some things you're just gonna get caught out, and like just that amount of awkwardness for two scenario pieces, right?
Right.
That's the thing that won me that game.
Yeah, yeah, and Kithgard doesn't have reliable stealth outs in their faction as a whole. And then beyond that, like there's another one where like Constance Blaze, she can't necessarily kill the house with her gallant, but like she provides a defensive utility and she provides magic weapon. A lot of Kithgard players, even more so than Brinebloods players, seem to really resent taking spirit shamans. But it's like you kind of, and you know, Crix is in a rough spot this year, but like you kind of do just have to look and say, like, do a lot of matchups just like flip to auto losses if I don't have magic weapons? Like, just on tap in one of my lists, probably the one I'm gonna need for like Grimkin and Crix because they present pretty common, you know, shared portfolio of problems. I should just
They're
pay
not the only ones
for,
either.
yeah.
There are other
Oh, no.
matchups where not having magical weapons can just cause you to lose. Even though a lot of these ghost models are inconsequential now, like in Dusk, for instance, you don't have magical weapons, you might just lose. And if Valus is involved, like certainly
Oh
it's a
yeah,
model that can sit somewhere and
Valus and
contest, and then what do you
Dices.
do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Valus and Dices jointly can just ruin your day.
And Hellslinger Phantom, and like there are enough models out there that if you build a list pair that does not have magical weapons, my personal opinion, some people might be offended, has to be said, I think you're probably throwing. Put the shamans in their list. They're just plain good, but like without even
Right.
considering the fact they hand out arcane or magical weapons. They are very good models. Just take a unit and
No,
don't worry about it.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm right there on the same page. Like you can't gamble on that auto loss, or like, you know, you can't gamble on having to so fastidiously hold Blessing of the Gods to go for this unless you're playing like the mother of all spell slingers. Like I don't feel it's necessary to play spirit shamans with Shadow Tongue just because he can put so many magic attacks downrange on demand. Like it's not necessarily an issue, but you're right. Spirit shamans are just very, very good. Like I want to tell the Kithgard players out there, like, just swallow your pride and pay the 4 points. Like, this is actually a genuinely good unit. Don't get it stuck in your craw that you're paying like support is theft. Like, no, they're genuinely good. Even if you don't need the magic weapons, it's 3 dudes that can run 11 inches plus place with mage static and randomly ruin your opponent's life. Like, if they want to enrage their house and carry on a rose is suddenly range 0 and they can't attack the models that are doing it, or like all sorts of other disruptions. Well, I guess you're not in Brinebloods, so they don't generate concealment as much, but they can lock off or reduce access to areas of the board. They can shut off star attacks randomly. Like it's a unit that can score 40s. It's a unit that can score 40s. They're Pathfinder. They're pretty damn good for scoring flags too. They make sure you don't lose the game randomly to ghosts. And then they have all these like list of edge case effects where it's like, these models might just randomly win you the game because they're incidentally awesome in a lot of ways. Like their Mat 5 POW 14 Blessed cause fire on melee range 2 weapons. If you get any accuracy buff, these guys can just come in and go, yeah, that heavy that was half dead, it's dead now. Like, just play the Spirit Shamans. They're 4 points. If you weren't conceptualizing it as a magic weapon tax, you would look around at both Kithgard and Brinebloods and say, what's a better unit that I can take for 4 points? There aren't really any.
This is
or
why
if you want to help David out, don't take him.
Yeah, truly.
or that.
Let my 2-point model be the king of the table. This also makes perfect sense because Cosmo always suspiciously keeps his spirit shaman next to his frog. That's so weird. That's so interesting.
Imagine that.
Why would he do that? Also, since you were talking about it, Constance and Gallant into a slaughterhouse, assuming no ill omens or anything, just the death knell. average 43 damage between the two of them.
Wow, Blaze really adds that much, huh?
Each of her attacks, if you boost damage, averages 5 damage. Because she's dice off 7
Wow.
with Signs Importance. The average roll is a 12. If you don't boost, it's between 1 and 2 damage. So I think it's better to boost here.
Right, and you're turning your tokens into free flashing blades, provided
If you have enough, I'm just accounting for 1 token to give yourself DI. If you have more, then obviously the damage goes up.
Oh,
So
okay.
they can kill
Maybe I
most of it by
underestimated
themselves.
this. Yeah, because I was just factoring in gallant damage, but like, oh, wow, my opinion might be changing. That is definitely interesting. Like, she can go and do all that, and it's like, yeah, she's on 0, but like, you aren't exactly gonna kill her either. I mean,
She has 46 boxes when she's on
right,
0.
exactly.
So.
Yeah, you pop Fortune's Path because you got to get these models out of the way, but like, you do got to do 46 damage to her ass.
Yeah, and if you don't have the slaughterhouse anymore, if you're able to pick it up there, it gets a lot harder to deal with that 46 boxes of damage, plus whatever else is involved, right?
Hello, Heretic.
I mean, listen,
He is pretty
if
good.
Heretic's sitting there waiting to clean up, then sure, everything's easy. But
all right, we're crazy tangenting. Brandon, we hit which team did we hit? We hit 25 raccoons in 5 trench coats.
there was a lot of raccoons and not that many trench coats. But,
Yeah.
but every trench coat was full of awesome dudes to sit down and play with.
Mm-hmm. So you wound up hitting Pat in was this Gravedigger on Gravedigger Violence?
It was, and so before the event, this McCoy list that I was playing, I came up with it before Siege Invitational, like a couple of weeks before this event, and after the Invitational, it was probably like a month before it was a while before the event, but anyway, like a month before this event, I had ordered 2 more units of commandos because I was like, this is a good list. I'm going to be playing this list. The commandos still have not even shipped yet. I don't know if I'm ever going to get them.
Geez.
I might be borrowing those commandos in Poland for WTC. We'll see. But it occurred to me like literally the night before the event that I still didn't have these commandos. So I posted in one of the Pacific Northwest Discord servers saying, hey, does anybody have 2 commandos I can borrow? And of course, immediately a bunch of people were like, so-and-so has some. He'll bring them for you. Don't worry about it. Like, awesome, right? Love this community. So I show up and Pat is the guy that has the commandos for me. So he gives me the commandos day 1. I put him to good use playing 3 rounds with McCoy or 4 rounds with McCoy and put him in my bag. And then the next day come back and play him again. So the very last game of the event is with Pat, whose commandos I've been borrowing.
He says,
and,
I am calling in my loan now.
I'm gonna need them commandos back now. No, so I end up not playing the list that has commandos. I play Kane, and his pairing is Cynthia Roscoe and Sparkhammer. I expect that he's probably going to play Roscoe because I think Sparkhammer is a worse matchup for him. But he dropped Sparkhammer, and I don't want to like do injustice to the quote, so I'm not going to try to quote him. But when I expressed surprise, I didn't express surprise, but when we talked about the matchup, he said something to the effect of, "I'm not a monster. I'm not going to force you into a daddy-daughter fight. I'm not going to make Kane shoot at his daughter." So we ended up playing Kane versus Sparkhammer, and that is a very bad matchup for Sparkhammer. And he did his best, but I killed too many things without really giving him the opportunity to reciprocate, and the game ended on scenario. But there was like a major attrition component to it before that happened. But Pat, absolute sweet dude. Doubly awesome for letting me borrow those commandos. The last minute request, I would have been pretty cooked if I didn't have 20 points of models that it turned out I needed a lot in the games that I played. So
yeah, in the majority of your matches.
That's one of our locals, and I can just confirm what a wonderful, delightful person he is. He is freaking incredible.
Yeah, that's the I mean, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but like the hardest part of going to Dragon's Fury for me now is that like that whole Pacific Northwest scene, plus, you know, all the people, you know, from around the country that are hooked on that scene and coming back as regulars to re-engage in that community and support this awesome event. It's like, oh God, I'm just down here for a weekend and change. Like, there's so many awesome people. How do I spend enough time with all of you?
Simply don't sleep, and don't let any of them sleep either. Just keep them up all night.
No, yeah. I mean, I ran into like Kevin Hypemansky at like, you know, toward the tail end of the last day. I'm like bumming him a cigarette. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like we barely like exchanged 5 words all weekend. Like, we're gonna see each other soon at Bellingham, right? We got to catch up then. And you know, it's like it's such a great community. Such a great community of folks, especially that show up for these events, that like I always feel like I'm in a rush to say hi to this huge array of all my favorite people. Oh, Hellslinger Juris is showing devices not connected. I think we're seeing some fun technical glitches.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just pass through my last round then. So I hit Dana, who was playing Sirafel and Moraine. Dana and I played each other at Stumptown, actually, and we both passed off the sportsmanship nomination chits without each other's knowledge to one another after our game. So I enjoy playing Dana, sweet dude. This came down Boggity Bomb versus Moraine. This was a matchup that I've been thinking about for some time. You know, just because Moraine can be a challenge for Brine Bloods, but I feel like if you've got yourself like buttoned up and like you're doing target prioritization properly, like you're really making sure that you're taking the most important things and not getting exposed to other stuff, the matchup's eminently winnable. And I keep thinking back about some of my early game exchanges, like, you know I traded both my Briggs to wipe archers and a couple other things, but the Briggs were just going to be killed by Sasha and Banky. Like, there's no stopping that. I'm like, I understand why I made that decision in the moment, but that was the wrong target priority. Or the king goes in on cats, and I'm like, not sure that was the right one. Like, I probably could have scraped by letting those guys live and play a war position and get better value. So, like, you know, I'm just looking back at this game and I'm like, this is eminently playable for Brines, but I don't think I made the right target selection. Dana pulls ahead pretty substantially on attrition. Things that go in on the king, he gets mortality. I think the only thing that goes in on him is like Invictus, like just Invictus. No way to get around the unyielding, but he knocks out. Oh God, I think he knocks out my mind and body. And I'm like, well, I'm under mortality, so I can't heal this. I ostensibly get the king for one more turn, but I have so few hit points, the retaliatory strike is going to kill me. Pig Galley Crew sneaks just to get a line of sight around the king's base and throws that net. Turns out those nets knock down. They don't care how big you are, and Invictus is defense garbage. King just barely kills a knockdown Invictus, not having to worry about the retaliatory strike, but like giving away my Briggs also on that game just meant I was so far down on material. So I keep fighting it out. You know, I force the issue with an Iron Flesh Scuttlebutt, make Moraine come in and just barely kill it, you know, to start to close out the attrition. She's sitting there in front of Boggity Bomb. All I got to do is just charge her and I'm in. And in a rewind from the day before, Boggity Bomb can't kill casters, at least not on that weekend. Moraine's high enough defense that I'm boosting to hit on everything, and like I'm either missing or just rolling assy. But I got one. Well, I have two last hopes. Last hope is okay. Boggity Bomb dropped her to a couple of hit points. Both Boggity Bomb and Moraine are sitting on the center objective. They're the only models there. It has one token left. Like, I will remove tokens from the center objective and kill you with explosions. Explosion rolls like ass. And then we pass turn. Dana does not score outright, but Moraine's on fire. He's like, oh yeah, put the fires out. Like, oh, poopy. I did get to end the weekend with 2 comically bad Boggity Bomb assassinations. So that at least was amusing, and my days were symmetrical.
So, Alex, how many was she camping?
She was camping 0.
0 camp, 15, 17, 18 boxes tough. And what was the power of your weapon?
POW 14. I didn't have a frog, had to fire step in.
So you had how many Fury available?
I had, after fire step and blessing, 6.
So you get to make a total of 14 attacks?
14 attacks.
If you just buy everything.
Yeah, if I just buy
and you're Mat 7?
Mat 7. Yeah, I think what I did was boost to hit on everything.
Right. I just want to see what it looks like if you don't. So you're Mat 7, 2 dice to hit, 2 dice damage, POW 14, and you make 14 of these. That's 70% to kill if you just buy attacks.
Wow.
You only need 8s. It's a 42% chance to hit. And when you hit, you're averaging 4 damage.
Well, you know what? I had 13 attacks on Jake the day before, needing 7s, and that didn't exactly work out. So
let's see what happens if you boost to hit all of them. How many do you get to make if you boost to hit everything?
Let's see. Charge attack, boost hit, second attack, boost hit, buy 2, boost hit, buy 2, boost hit. So 6 attacks.
And you're not boosting damage.
That's correct.
To 60 or 58%. So it's better odds to just buy attacks when you're Boggity Bomb because you get 2 per.
Oh, okay. So once burned, twice shy screwed me over here. Great.
It's not good either way. Like, it doesn't get higher than 70%, but
what if we throw in a high stakes explosion?
Ooh. That was a POW 14 with no blast resist.
I think it's 15, but yeah. It might be 14.
right.
I don't remember.
It's
It
14.
matters so rarely.
It's 14.
Okay.
It's 14.
The other thing.
All of this is done using Mage Sight, by the way. It's super easy.
This episode brought to you by Mage Sight.
It's not sponsored because we ain't making no money on it because it's free. But
yeah, this episode is bringing you Mage Sight. Go to the donate link. I'll be sure to add that in the description.
Use it and enjoy it. So this auto hit. So that takes you from 58 to a 70% when you add that auto hitting POW 14 on 2 dice.
God damn it.
That's if you were boosting everything.
Yeah.
All the attacks.
See,
so it's going to be better if you aren't.
Sometimes numbers make you sad. Sometimes it's not worth exploring.
Yeah. You know, David, you're right. I was better off not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to know this for WTC, but I was definitely happier without the knowledge.
Oh, wait. I hold on. I did this wrong. This is better than that. Wait a minute. This attack number 7 should be.
Stop telling me it's better than that.
79.6%. It's an 80% with the high stakes.
Let sleeping dogs lie, Brandon.
I'll let them lie in their sorrow and shame for coming up short on the dice.
Oh my god. I don't want to think about that. I can't fix it other than apparently just don't boost.
You can make it better by not boosting, but it's okay. We ended up winning the round, so it didn't matter.
It's true. It's true. I was carryable. Oh man. All right. All right. I want to move off my Dragon's Fury performance now. Let's never talk about this again. What did you guys I guess, do you guys have any closing thoughts on the weekend, personal performance, and I guess what's next that you're targeting this competitive year?
I think we talked about this a little bit last cast, but I felt really great about the weekend. I think I went 7-1.
Mhm.
Is that math right?
That's a great record for the weekend.
One of them was a brunch buy, so that's it's a little bit inflated.
You beat the pants off the French onion soup.
Truly. I felt great about it. And next competitive thing is Tucson. And
Yeah. I'm gonna see you down here in a week and a half.
Yeah, Cosmo, just so we can get this on camera, can you bring a necktie that you don't mind losing on this trip?
Yeah, I can do that.
Great.
Wait, what do you need a necktie for?
Just look, we've known each other for a long time. Just trust me.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can find something fitting.
Fantastic. But yeah, Tucson in a week. Or it's about 10 days.
I'm just taking volunteers here. I'm just going to keep looking expectantly until somebody pipes up.
Oh, I'll yap. You kidding me? I learned a lot about what is my new favorite caster, which is Bodon, which is mostly don't put him in places he'll die. And then you can win games, which is really cool. As far as like things I'm doing competitively, we do have in February the Stumptown Showdown, Portland area, West Coast, whatever you want to call it, event. We're doing an IGQ on the Saturday, and then the Sunday we have locked in. It's going to be a 3-man team tournament, and it's going to be awesome. And you should come to it. It's going to be super, super fun.
Mhm.
I will be up in Bellevue in August for the IGQ, and then next year I am shooting for Lock and Load, ATC, and Beach Brawl, and then ideally one more event, probably Boker.
Mhm. Well, we're gonna see where point qualification comes down from for the Iron Gauntlet this year too, because you finished second place to Rich Inside Job Loxham in the first qualifier of the year.
Yeah, so I got double points on that table, which is pretty dang cool. And I've had a couple other top 8s that I think put me in there, which will be really fun. I'm super excited. It's gonna be like competitively my first Iron Gauntlet. And I am looking forward to seeing all y'all folks and rolling all the dice and having all the fun.
Which one was your first Iron Gauntlet? Was that 24?
The first one I played in, I think, was 24, and then I didn't end up playing this year. I played in the IGQ and just was like reveling in the return of Lock and Load. And then you and I were on the WTC team in 23?
24. Yeah, it was the Germany year. Yeah, I was gonna say, because that was a good year, and that was a good year for your personal performance.
Yeah, I had a really awesome year outside of WTC. But
right. Man, sometimes WTC is just not your freaking weekend. Like,
yeah, but oh my god, it was also like, it was like the best games of War Machine I've ever played. It was such an awesome experience, and I met so many cool people, and I played so many just really tight, really awesome games. It was freaking radical. But yeah, I'm pretty hot on the competitive circuit this year. I'm trying to show up, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and everybody should make it out to Stumptown Showdown. You guys did an awesome job this year. So I really encourage everybody to get out there. 3-man team tournament early in the year. did amazing attendance. I think Iron Gauntlet bolted onto it. It's going to do even better. And, I gotta say, I love the 3-man team tournament experience because it's just so punchy and you don't have to fuss quite as hard about it, and you still get the team experience. So
Yeah, we're here for a
I'm
good
really
time.
looking forward to it. I've already got that one on my calendar.
Yeah, and the showdown, we really want people to we want everybody to leave home with something. I think everybody left home or left the event with something really cool last year. We had mini crates flying around. We had some really awesome custom swag. And all I want is for folks to come to the event that love War Machine, get a bunch of cool stuff, continue to love War Machine, and meet awesome people, eat good food. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, that does make the frantic rush of the Portland qualifiers easier to bear on the soul. Is okay, I get 2 weekends of War Machine up here. Brandon, how about for you? Lessons learned and what's next for you?
I learned McCoy Unga Boonga real good. And
Tank Smash.
It's not Tank Smash, it's Tank Watch Men Charge Unga Boonga. Yay. But when you order something that is made to order from Steamforged, line up borrowed models to use in their place for every event you're going to for the next several months, because who knows when you're going to get them. They've been really good about shipping and meeting their delivery dates with pre-order stuff, but made to order is still super rough. And just learned a lot about my list pair. Got some good experience on the table playing against all of these different things. Every tournament I go to, no matter what, I always learn a lot about the ins and outs of my list and the meta. And always take the time, if you can, to get to know the people around you at tournaments. When you're traveling to one, especially because you have that opportunity, try to go to dinner with people. We talk about this all the time. Share a coffee with them, have a chat, because what separates the War Machine community from playing some other game like Magic the Gathering or video games is the ability to have this human interaction and meet awesome people who, like us, become lifelong friends outside of War Machine. So don't forget to enjoy the trip when you travel to play. And if you haven't traveled to play before, do it. Oh my God, do it. It's so much fun and so worthwhile.
Hear, hear.
Absolutely agreed. Well, I think that's a great note for us to.
Oops.
I think that's a great note for us to close out on. Brandon, David, I'm going to see you guys in Tucson. Jake, I will see you up in Bellingham in about a month. And everyone out in audience land, I'll see you next week. Keith, take us away.